This week we are going to talk about printing and dyeing fabric, which is the process of adding color to fabric. First we'll talk about dye types and different types of fabric dyeing processes. Different dye types are defined by when the dye is applied. For instance, piece-dyed fabric is fabric that has been knit or woven and then went through a process of adding dye. Piece dyeing fabric involves taking fabric and having it undergo a dye process, usually before the final finishing treatments are applied. In the GIF on the left, we can see pre-woven sheets of fabric going through a dye process. Yarn-dyed fabric is fabric that has been woven from pre-dyed yarn. Yarn dyeing is when the yarns are dyed a specific color before the fabric is woven or knit. Yarn dyes undergo a dye process and then are arranged by color during the weaving or knitting process. Most stripes and plaids are made using this method. Stock dyeing is when the fiber is dyed even before the yarn is spun. Stock dyeing is mostly seen in wool, where the process can produce wool yarns with flecks of different coloring when we mix different colored fibers together. In the GIF, you can see raw wool fiber being dyed in vats. The last type of dye process is garment dyeing. Garment dyeing is when a finished garment is made and then fabric is dyed. This process can allow for specific placement of color on a garment or solid color all over the garment. In the GIF on the right, we can see clothing being loaded into what looks like a very large washing machine. It's very similar to a washing machine, as you can see, but instead of washing the clothes, dye is added. There are different types of fabric dye that fall into two main categories: natural dyes and synthetic dyes. Natural dyes are the oldest form of fabric dye and come from things found in nature, like minerals, plants, animals, and insects. Natural dyes are no longer used much in the industry, but can be found in traditionally made textiles. They also are found in some eco-friendly fabrics and clothing, as natural dyes are thought to be less polluting than synthetic dyes. However, natural dyes can wash out or fade over time. This means they do not have good color fastness. Color fastness is the ability of a fabric to maintain its color intensity over a long period of time and throughout many washes. The other types of dyes are synthetic dyes. These are dyes that are made in a lab and come from chemical synthesis. Synthetic dyes make use of materials like coal, tar, and petroleum. Synthetic dyes can create brighter colors with a much wider range of colors than natural dyes. Synthetic dyes also have better color fastness. The image on the right shows a line of commercial dyes that you can buy to dye fabric at home. The image on the left shows the indigo plant, which is one of the oldest plants used to dye fabric. Originally, denim got its indigo blue color from the indigo plant, as it was used to dye denim, along with many other fabrics. Its rich blue color was easily added to fabric to give a lovely color. will also talk about printed fabric in this lecture. Printed fabric is fabric that has been woven or knit and then has had a pattern of color applied to it. Printing is a kind of dyeing, as it applies color to fabric. There are many different printing methods that are used to create different effects on fabrics. Prints have at least 2 color tones, but can have many, many more.